Darci's Corner. We'll see how this goes, because lately Darci's Corner is really Darci's Ramble. I haven't recorded one in a while. So we're in the month of July in 2021, and July is almost over now. And I'm in Alberta, so technically speaking, the pandemic is over. We'll see. Some of us are vaccinated, some of us aren't. Darwinism will sort it out. It's a crazy thing to have lived through a pandemic in one's life. Sadly, I am old enough that I remember 9/11. I thought that was going to be the catastrophic event that I remembered for the rest of my life, and certainly it was an important one. But this pandemic has been a doozy. Not to mention, I chose a pandemic to transition, so that was entertaining. So I've discovered some things. First of all, I've been working on my voice now for some time, and I don't know how much progress I've made or not made, really. But I do know that I got invited on a date last week, and I went, and I got stood up, which made me sad, but I expected to be stood up because I'm only just transitioning now, and so most people don't want to date someone like me because they don't know what the hell I am. And I was talking to this potential suitor, and because they'd seen pictures of me and they were talking to me about intimate things, which was fine. If you're gonna date me and we gonna talk about intimate things, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm a big girl, I can handle it. But this person was trying to wrap their head around it too, because they didn't understand it. Now, they were older than me, and I'm like, look, sweetie, here's the deal. I'm not a man with boobs. Okay? I'm a woman who happens to have something of a man's face and sometimes a bit of a man's voice. But I'm not a man with boobs. And so that helped him. And that's how I want to be seen by my potential suitors. But I'm still very pansexual, so if I came across a cisgendered woman who was interested in dating a woman like me, that would be wonderful. But it would be important to me that I was seen at least as non-binary. Feminine is preferable, but at least as non-binary. I don't want to ever be seen by my potential partners as male anymore, because I'm really not. Up until, I don't know what point in time it shifted for me. This is an important note. This might actually help somebody in the future, who knows. For many of us, for me in particular, it moves. And because it moves, and because it comes and it goes, when I was a little kid, I didn't think it was a real thing, or I wasn't sure it was a real thing. And then later, as I was an adult, but a young man, the thoughts would come and go. And they would confuse the hell out of me. And I would think, no, if it was real, if I was really a woman trapped in a man's body, my femininity would stay. And I would just desire all the time to be a whatever, and you fill in the feminine gap, right? I would think about carrying a baby in my tummy. I would think about all sorts of other feminine things that are typically feminine, I should say. Typically feminine things, and that was my femininity coming out. And I wanted to be able to go and dress up incognito, feminine, but nobody would know, and walk around the mall. That was always kind of, and like, yeah, that's a great idea. And later, why did I think that was a great idea? That was stupid. Anyway, so that was, for the longest time, when I first started my transition, or thought about doing my transition, Am I faking it? I don't know. Am I real? Is this real? Is this going anywhere? Is this ever going to work? And then, once you start doing it, are we ever going to get there? You know the kids in the back of the car saying, are we ever going to get there? That's me now. I'm in the back of the damn car and I'm going, are we ever going to get there? I want to get to the other side as quickly as possible. And one day, but where I am today, before I thought of myself as a man trying to be a woman or trying to be a girl. And I've since come to the conclusion and feel this is a truer statement. I was always me. The person you're listening to right now, the person you see right now, I'm me. And I was always feminine. Always. But I was forced to hide that part of me from the world. And so I had to build up this masculine shell. And, you know, I just had what was around me to look at and to model off of. And they weren't bad models. My parents and grandparents and my aunts and uncles and stuff, they all modeled pretty decent masculine or feminine traits that were, I think, desirable to have. My dad and my grandfather were both very strong men. They were both hard men. But neither one of them was ever cruel or mean. They were kind. They told jokes that they thought were funny. Whether you thought they were funny or not was kind of irrelevant. They had a good time. And they treated the women around them with respect and love. So, like, in terms of building, in terms of male role models and trying to build a man, the man that I built wasn't a bad one. He was a nice guy. He was strong. He was confident in himself, eventually. He's got some skills. He can do some things. He's a protector. He can take a lot of hits. But he's not a fighter. And even though he gets mad, he never hits people. Ever. And that was the man that I built. And he was fine. But he was always a shield. And I didn't want to be hiding behind that shield no more. So I stopped doing that. But what I'm saying is it took me a long time to get to the point where I realized I'm a woman stuck with these male characteristics, trapped in this male shell that I built for myself. Because I built it pretty solid, I guess. But I was always the woman trapped in the male shell. That's what I always was. I just didn't know that's what it was. Because when you're going through this, at least for me, you build yourself a safe place. Okay, you learn very quickly that femininity is weakness, and anything that's gay leads to AIDS. That's what I learned as a child, is that femininity is weakness and gay equals AIDS. Those things aren't true. But in the 80s and the 90s, they were. And nobody ever told me different until many years later. Anyway, so today, I like who I am. I like who I'm becoming. I hope I'm not done. Because we're getting close to 2 years now where I've been out. And I don't know how much more this is going to change without me having to go to more extreme, expensive options. Anyway, I do love being my authentic self. I wish I had made the decision to do this sooner. I don't know if I could have. The pressures were so great to conform and to not be this. And I just didn't know if it was real or not. And why would you risk your job, your faith, your friends, your spouse, access to your kid? I mean, not that that would have happened, but I didn't. That does happen. People lose access to their children when they transition. So the other person will decide, no, you're a bad influence and you're dangerous to children. That happens all the time. Anyway, it was a lot to lose. And I didn't know if it was real. I didn't know what to do about it. It really upsets me still even today that this truth could have been revealed to me when I was 10. 10 is old enough to start to understand this stuff. Maybe you wouldn't understand completely. I mean, of course you wouldn't understand completely. You're 10. But you could understand enough. You could understand that there's a variety of orientation. There's a variety of gender. And it's fine. Just don't hurt anybody. Don't chase people. Don't beg people. Not that I did a whole lot of begging. Never once did I beg. I do not do that. Nor do I chase. I'm like, if you're not coming to this, I ain't running after you. You ain't worth that to me. Anyway. So that's Darci's ramble. Just taking it one day at a time.